All right. If you remember, we learned yesterday, this is a Sikh of the Rebbe in Chelik Gimel. And the Rebbe said that this week's Torah portion is called Shmini, and that the Kli Yakar, Rebbe, was it the Shlomo Lunchitz from Lunchitz, as he asked, he's one of the explainers, one of the commentaries of the Torah, of the Chumash. So he asked the question, why is it called the eighth day? I mean, there was no such thing as the eighth day. There was 7 days of preparation for the tabernacle, 7 days. And God commanded Moses to make 7 days of preparation. And Moses made 7 days of preparation, and that's it. And then there was the first day that the tabernacle was open, that they started to bring sacrifices. And for some reason, the Torah calls it the eighth day. Why is it the eighth day? There was no such thing as an eighth day. So it says it's called the eighth day because it's trying to stress the importance of the number 8. That's what this is the Kli Yakar, how he explains it. It's trying to stress the number 8. The number 8 is it's above holy in Judaism. Right, above holy, to the point where everything below it is like mundane. Even Shabbat. Shabbat is number 7, and circumcision is number 8. The child is circumcised on the 8th day. And if a child has to be circumcised on Shabbat, if a child is born on Shabbat, then the next Shabbat is the 8th day from when he's born. So usually you're not allowed to make a wound on Shabbat. You can't draw blood on Shabbat. But if there's a circumcision to be done, as the circumcision pushes off Shabbat and you can't do it, that shows that the number 8, which is corresponding to the circumcision, is higher than the number 7. So the Rebbe says, okay, but still, that really doesn't answer the question. I mean, exactly the opposite. If the 8th day was so high, right, it was so high, then why call it number 8? Why call it number 8? 8 seems to imply that it has a connection to the previous 7 days. And this does not have. That's what he's trying to stress, that it doesn't have any connection to the 7 days. It's totally above them. It's a whole different category, a whole different world. So don't call it number 8, right? Call it the Holy of Holy Days or something. This is the name of this Torah portion. Instead of being called Shmini, it should be called Holy of Holies or something. Why is it called 8th day? Why in the Torah, why does it call it the 8th day? Why is that called? So the Rebbe says, because he's trying to hint, the Torah is trying to hint to us that the only way that can be achieved this level of godliness, which is above even the Shabbat, it's above all possible services that man can reach on his own. The only way that this can be achieved, and it is achieved, we see that the Jewish people receive this level of the number 8. It's a huge revelation of God. It has to be preceded by us doing everything that we can. So that's what it says. The 7 days of preparation, the Shiva Shemei Miluim, it comes to show us that these 7 days, that's what we can do. When this service is complete, that we do what we can to serve God, is Nimshach Gabor, and then there can be drawn also the arousal from above, that then God reacts from himself, and therefore this day is called the 8th day. Why? Because it comes after the service of the 7. There's a story in the Torah in the Gemara. I think it's in the Gemara in Ta'anit, and there was a great holy person called Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa. Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa was very poor, and one day he decided, he saw everybody going to the holy temple. They were bringing sacrifices. He didn't have any money to buy any sacrifices, so he went in the field and he found this big, really nice, huge sort of boulder, and he polished the thing up. It really looked nice, and he decided he was going to give this to the holy temple. You know, maybe it would be put in the outside on the grounds, and they would make whatever they wanted. So he sat and he polished this thing up all day, and then he Now, how is he going to get it there? The thing weighs, like 10 tons. And he's a little skinny guy. He can't live. And barely doesn't eat. It says he used to eat just like a few cabbages or whatever a week. So there's these people who went by. It's a long story. I'm going to make it short. So these people went by and says, "Can you help me take this?" And they said, "Okay, you have to give us like $1,000 a man." This thing was really heavy. He says, "I haven't got a penny." So they left. And another group came by, and he said, "What about? Can you help me?" And they said, "Oh yeah." He said, "But listen, I don't have any money now. When we get to Jerusalem, then I'll pay you." This is no problem. Okay, let's go. They said, but they said to him, "But on one condition, you have to help us." What can I do? I can't lift up anything. I'm a weak person. I lift up my fork to my mouth. I can't. They said, no. Well, if you don't help us, then we can't do it. So he said, "Are you serious?" He said, "Yeah." So put your hand. We'll grab. They were huge, strong guys. They were going to carry it to Jerusalem. And they said, put your hand underneath it, and we'll lift it up. Lift it. Okay, lift it up. Everybody, close your eyes. Let's count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Up. Lift it. He lifted up with all of his might. All of a sudden, he hears a big thud. He opens up his eyes, and they're in Jerusalem, right in front of the temple. He says, "This is amazing." So they said, "What about our money?" He said, "Oh, just 1 second." So he runs to the Beit HaMidrash, and he sees, I think it's Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. And he says, "Listen, I want to borrow some money." Oh, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, what's the question? So they loans him the money, runs back, and the people aren't there. They're not there. So he runs around asking, "Did you see there were some big guys that nobody saw? Nobody knows what he's talking about." So he goes back to Rabbi ben Gamliel, and he says, they weren't there. The people weren't there. So Rabbi Gamliel said, "Listen," maybe he looked at the stone. He said, "Listen, a normal person couldn't lift it. This is up. They must have been angels. They were sent by God to help you." Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty nice. Miracle. Also saved a lot of money. I gave all the money back. They said, "I don't understand. So why do they want me to help them? I mean, if they were miraculous angels." He says, No. Angels and God doesn't work unless you do something. You have to do your maximum. You do your maximum, and then you get help from God. True, sometimes people get help automatically, but then they don't appreciate it. And then you have to pray, you have to do something, and then God will help. Right? So that's what it's saying here. This 8th day, why is it called the 8th day? If it's totally higher than the other days, has no connection to them whatsoever, right? It shouldn't be called the 8th day, it should be called the super holy day or something. Why the 8th day? It says because it comes after the work of the 7 days, even though it has no connection to them. Now, according to this, we can also understand the connection between Shmini and Sfirat HaOmer. Now we're doing what's called counting the Omer. Was Bahar Bashanim, which a lot of times late in the Parshas, we read this Torah portion, Bald Nachs Pesach, immediately after Passover, like this year. Hitchalas in the beginning of the days of Sfirat HaOmer. Okay, for those of you who don't know, it's a commandment in the Torah. Very strange commandment. It's the longest commandment. Every day, you have to count for 49 days. You have to count the day. From Passover, from the night after the first day of Passover, you have to count 49 days, and the 50th day is the holiday of Shavuot. 49 days you have to count. And that's the good. When do you count? In the evening, every evening, right? Starting off from the first evening, right after Passover, every evening after they finish the evening prayer, they say a blessing, Asher Kedishanu b'mitzvotov et zivanu al Sfirat HaOmer, and then you say, today is the first day of the Omer, today is 2 days of the Omer, today is 3 days of the Omer, today is 4 days of the Omer. That's you do 49. 49 days you count. But interestingly enough, in the Torah, in the Torah, it doesn't say you count 49 days. It says you count 50 days. Usfartem lechem, right? Chamishim yom. It says 50 days. Even though it says also Sheva Shavuot, says you should count 7 weeks. True, it says 7 weeks. And that's one of the reasons why the holiday is called Shavuot, because after you've counted 7 weeks. But nevertheless, the counting of the Sfirat HaOmer is to count 50 days, but we only count 49. Now that's what the Rebbe is going to say. And this is always now, in this time when we read Shmini. Shmini. It says, Tispru Chamishim Yom. It says you're supposed to count 50 days. Frechtman, we can ask the question, we can ask the question, Menzilt Doch nor 9 and 40 Tag. We only count 49 days. Men Farenford, and the answer to this is, as mitten beer, the explanation, like we gave before. Like we said, the number 8 is totally above the number 7. It's a different category, different world, but you can't get to this number 8 without the number 7. Well, it's the same thing with Sfirat HaOmer. 49 is 7 times 7. As Yidden Durach Zeravod, by Jews, by means of their counting, 49 days, Durach Zeravod, so their service, Zayin and Mamshech, they draw down after the 49 gates of understanding. It says, Shiva, Shavuos, 7 weeks are counted. That's the 7 days of the creation, 7 times, right? God created the world 7 days, 7 times. Aber zu lieb them, but in order to this, was they mamshech durach zeravura, which they draw down through their service, the mem tesharim, by the means of the Jewish people opening up and drawing down blessings from these 49 gates. Git menze milamayla, God gives them from above. Oichdem shara chamishim, also the 50th gate. That's the day when the Torah was given. Vos is al derech shmini, which this is something like we said before about the number 8. Hecher from Sheva, it's totally above the 7 weeks. Vos the Riba, which therefore is the hamshacha from them shara chamishim, therefore the drawing down. This revelation after the 49 days is the holiday of Shavuot, the time when the Torah was given. Was b'shas matan Torah, it's the time the Torah was given, is given a me'ayin from them gilui delatid. When the Torah was given, it was something like the revelation that's going to be in the future. It says actually when Torah was given, death stopped. There was no more death. Right? Death is akin to selfishness. That's what happened when Adam ate from the tree of knowledge. Death. That's why, like I said before, when Adam ate from the tree of knowledge, that's when selfishness came. That's where all the other religions came from. And interesting, that's why all the other religions are so tremendously preoccupied with death. What's going to happen after I die? What's going to be when I die, right? Self-mortification. Some even worship death. They worship a dead person. They worship death. And death is a very, going to heaven, what's going to be. And Judaism is talking about life. That's what was revealed at Mount Sinai. It's a Torah Chaim, the living God. At Mount Sinai was revealed something which was totally above. This is something like the revelation that's going to be in the future, the 50th. There, it's the same thing. By means of our work that we do now, is we draw down this big revelation that's going to be in the future. But the big revelation that's going to be in the future, this is God's business. This is not ours. Like how God took the Jews out of Egypt. That's the basis of Judaism. God himself took the Jews out of Egypt, but it was by means of the fact that the Jews suffered so long. Well, therefore, state, therefore it says count 50 days, even though we don't count 50, we only count 49. Then, because also the Shara Chamishim, because also the 50th gate, Bakuman comes to the Jews through their service. The M is really in Sfirat HaOmer, when they count this Sfirat HaOmer, doing this commandment of counting the Omer, this is a preparation, nitnor to Matan Torah, not only for the giving of the Torah, which is something like the revelation of the future, but it's also a preparation for the future itself. This big future revelation that says that God is going to show even bigger miracles than when we left Egypt. The prophecy in Micha, the prophet Micha, says like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. See, as you do, it's known, the diuk, Lashon, in the pasuk where it says Kiyameh, like the days of going out of Egypt. When did we go out of Egypt? We went out of Egypt one day. In fact, that's what we just finished, the holiday of Passover, remembering that day that we left Egypt. The Cha'ora is doch, their oiskin, the going out of Egypt, was one day, the 15th day of Nisan. And that day already was, a week and a few days ago. His Mavor, but the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe explains as that, what is this in? He explains, right? That's the, if you remember, last week, what was it, 2 weeks ago, we learned this mimer from about from the Rebbe, and it was taken from this mimer of the previous Rebbe. That said you have to, the days of going out of Egypt. What do you mean days of going out of Egypt? That the full stendika yitziyah, that the complete going out of Egypt will only be in the future redemption. Korah Mamish. Now, just to refresh everybody's memory, or people that might not know, we Jewish people are really anticipating for sure the arrival of the Mashiach, who's going to be a person that will reveal the Creator in the creation. The purpose of Mashiach is to reveal how important this physical world is. Infinitely more important than all the heavens and all the going to heaven and the world, spiritual worlds. This physical world can be pure godliness. This is what God created from his innermost will, including all the people in it, including all the non-Jews, including everything. And that's what Mashiach is going to reveal. The importance of each and every human being, the importance of each and every creation. And that is going to be revealed in what's called the future redemption. God will actually reveal in this world, he will reveal the third temple. All of the Jewish people will return to doing all of the commandments. All the commandments. They'll see the godliness in every single commandment. Keeping the Shabbat, putting on tzitzit, tefillin, eating kosher, all the all the commandments, learning the Torah. Learning the Torah will be. And this revelation, just like God, this is the basis of Judaism, and this is the goal of Judaism. The basis of Judaism was the miracles that God did when he took us out of Egypt, completely above any human ability. Nobody dreamed there would be such things. Going out of Egypt was splitting the sea, giving the Torah, Pete. God, revelation of God himself in the world. Right? The Creator was revealed in the creation. This is going to be in the future where every human being, all of the world will recognize how incredibly precious and valuable they are, and this world is. And that'll be a bigger miracle than was when the Jews were taken out of Egypt. Then, first of all, that only affected the Jews. This future redemption will affect all mankind. Bis done until then, Zainen Noach alles voran Mitzrayim. Until the Jews actually do make this revelation in the world, everyone is in Egypt, especially the Jews are. Everyone is in Egypt. What does Egypt mean? The word Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim, means limitations. From Velcham is mimuzich ba'afrian, which we have to be freed from. From Tesvav Nisan, from Tetvav Nisan, from the 15th of Nisan, in the year 2448 after the creation of the world, which that's 3,333 years ago. Multiply that by 365 every day. Multiply that by 24 every hour, every minute. A person has to be constantly going, and we are, out of the limitations of yesterday. Holton Yidden Beseder, some Royce came from Mitzrayim. The Jews have to go, are going out of Egypt every day, more and more, learning more. Was Vetergate men als Hecher, as time progresses, we go higher and higher. Biz, maybe we're not aware of it, but that's the fact. Biz as Bekorov Mamish, until very, very soon. And the Rebbe said, I can't figure out why it hasn't already happened. Vet Kum and the Geula, until the future redemption, which we will go out of all of our limitations and all of our boundaries. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow, this footnote. Let's see, maybe we'll do it today. Let me just see this one second. The Erster Avoda, the first service of the Jews immediately when they left Egypt, was counting Sfirat HaOmer. Al derech Sfirat HaOmer was counting. What does it mean? Al derech does say a Sfirat HaOmer is the Erster Shrit. This is the first mark in the first step also in serving God to come to this Kiyamet Tzitchem Eretz Yisrael. That will be the future redemption. That's the number 8. So now, what is this number 8? We're going to explain this tomorrow, God willing, in this footnote, beautiful footnote. What it is. So what's the Rebbe saying? That our service of God evokes and brings a revelation from God. But God decides how it's going to be. Just like the 8 days of the preparation brought the 7 days of preparation in the temple, the 7 days of preparation in the tabernacle brought the 8th day, which is something totally above the reason. So also is this idea of the 49 days of counting Sfirat HaOmer that brought the giving of the Torah, and also these 3,333 years since going out of Egypt, every single day, that will bring to the future redemption, which we just talked about, when the world will be filled with the awareness of the Creator. What is there to add to this? You'll find out tomorrow. Have a good day. Now let's do, one second, let's do the Yom Yom. Right? Maybe a couple of days we forget about this Yom Yom. Let's see if we can do it here. Yom Yom, ready? The presence of Mashiach is revealed on the last day of Pesach. This has relevance to all of the Jews. Pesach, the word Pesach means to jump, skipping over. In other words, to jump out of the level which you're at to a higher level of serving God. Right? We just talked about in the Maimer about the fish. This is the protected night. That's why we stay in the night. The 7th day of Passover, we stay awake all night. And the general mood of Pesach is one of liberty, being free. Then after that, here we are, Pesach is finished, and now we're not in a holiday anymore. We're in the world. That's when the Mashiach comes. The Mashiach comes. That's why Chabad, we made a Mashiach meal. It's done other places also. We made this beautiful march to a Breslev shul. I was in Miron. Wonderful, beautiful. And they also were making a Mashiach Su'o. We danced, imbuing us with power of resolution that means that we can that we can be in the physical world and draw this holiness and joy of Passover into day-to-day life until there finally be the ultimate revelation of going out of Egypt in every detail in every human being in the world. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, 3 o'clock, God willing, we'll learn Chumash.